Hey again, this is Adam from Cleavr, and I want to show you some things that happen behind the scenes when you provision a server using Cleavr. So I provision a brand new server, and for that server, I'm going to use it to host a WordPress site. And so you might see other offerings out there that offer the whole one-click install for your WordPress site on a hosted server, but is that the only thing it does? And do you want it to do other things? For example, DigitalOcean has a bunch of one-click install capabilities that they offer, which is awesome. DigitalOcean is great, and they have so many different things available that you can install on your server. But Cleavr goes the extra mile. We know that you're going to install WordPress or a different app, but we also want to make sure that what you're hosting on your server is secured. So if we go and look at some of the things that were installed when I provision a server, all I really need to do is go to the Services tab right here, and I'll go over what some of these things are. Some other things that Cleavr does that we don't display on this particular list, but we also do some configurations with the Uncomplicated Firewall UFW, which comes standard with Ubuntu. So when you provision a server with Cleavr, you're actually provisioning a server that is running Ubuntu version 20.04. And with that, it has some firewall settings, but some of them are left open. So we go in there and we configure them to be a little more locked down. Some other things that Cleavr installs is Fail2Ban. Fail2Ban is an intrusion prevention framework. It's pretty cool for preventing brute force attacks on your server. Some other things that Cleavr installs is SSH for SSH management, Supervisor, which is a process monitor. We also have Redis and Mcache, and we use these for kind of smart processing for your database servers that you have. So you can see that MySQL version 8.0 was also installed on your server when you initiated that WordPress site. So what typically happens when you install or add a new site to your Cleavr server is that Cleavr will automatically check it to make sure all the dependencies are there for that application. Specifically for WordPress, Cleavr is looking for a version of PHP, and it's also looking for a database, typically MySQL or Maria database. It's also going to do all the necessary steps in the background to create the database users, and then tie that all together with your WordPress site so that you don't have to. Some other cool things that Cleavr installs is server monitoring. So if you go to the monitoring section here, you could see the server monitoring in action after it's been installed on your server. Going back to the services section here. Some other things that it installs is Nginx, and Nginx is really awesome. It has really cool caching capabilities, and another thing that you probably saw when I installed this WordPress site in a different video is that I enabled fast CGI cache. Well, that's all thanks to Nginx. That helps make your site zoom when it comes to download speeds, when it comes to rendering your site. Let's go back to the services section again and see if I miss anything. Well, a couple of things I do want to point out is you're probably wondering what some of these icons are. So if you look at the little heartbeat one, if you click on that, that's going to give you the current health status for that particular service. So in this case, Nginx is active and it's running. Sometimes you might want to go in and then stop service by clicking on the stop button, and then starting that service back up by clicking on the green play button, or just refresh the service in general. There's kind of that whole meme in IT, right? Like, have you tried turning it off and on again to see if it fixes the problem? Well, sometimes turning PHP or Nginx off and on again might actually fix a problem. So if you ever want to see if you have something clogged up on your server and you want to see if you could unclog that by basically power cycling these, well, this is where you could go to do that. Another cool thing is that these little wrench icons, you could go in there and configure some of the settings for PHP and Nginx. For instance, if you click on PHP, you have the ability to change a lot of these settings that you see here, or custom settings that you could add at the bottom. One main thing that you might end up changing is PHP has a default upload file size, max file size value of 2 megabytes. Well, if you're trying to install, let's say, a new plugin for your WordPress site, chances are it's going to be a little more than 2 megabytes. So you could always go in here and up that to 20 megabytes or whatever increase you need in order to upload that. And so to save that out, all you have to do is click on Update. Well, that's just a general overview of some of the services that we automatically install when you provision a server using Cleavr.